So, Steam and Epic are rumored to be coming to Xbox. So, you want to talk about this, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is big news. Um, what I mean, it's an interesting thought because it basically Xbox then literally does become a PC, doesn't it? Like you'll have all of the
Yeah.
PC storefronts and all that. Like imagine if Steam and Epic come to it. I'm imagining GOG will come to it eventually, and BattleNet. I know Xbox owns BattleNet now, or Microsoft does, but you know what I'm saying. Um, it's interesting. I think. I mean, I have an opinion on this, but what do you think? Do you like? What do you think? Is this a good? Do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing for Xbox to add this to the system? And then I'll
Well,
explain my opinion afterwards.
well, apparently, before I can answer that, I'm going to go into the quick specifics that Phil Spencer recently said he's a bit open to bringing stores like Epic and itch.io to Xbox consoles. And itch.io is where you put lots of different game projects you put into a website for anyone to download, and sometimes they can donate. So if nowadays days, like if you make a game in Unity and you want people all around the world to play it, then it's better to put on itch.io because it's like free to do so and you can receive donations. And yeah, he went on to say that this notion that Xbox can only be this one device that plugs into the television isn't something we see in the Gen Z research because nothing else is like that for them. Some of them will have an iPhone, some will have an Android, but all the games and everything are the same or something. It's a bit odd thing. I can still get to
Yeah,
TikTok on both of them, at least for now. All their stuff is available whenever they want. So for Xbox, our brand pivot as we attract and maintain relevance with a younger audience is Xbox is a place where I can find the great games I want to. So
yeah. I mean, this is honestly, I'm hoping that this happens. I do think this is a good idea. I think essentially, apart from the Xbox 360 generation, which they still ended up losing, Xbox have kind of been spanked by PlayStation every generation, haven't they? Let's be fair. And I think that's unfortunate because I really like my Xbox. We wouldn't be doing an Xbox channel if we didn't like Xbox. But the PS5 is outselling them 2-1, so they need to do something to differentiate themselves. So what, like the PS6 comes out, oh, you have the PlayStation Store, that's it. The Xbox, whatever the new one's called, the Xbox 7, whatever. Um, you could have Xbox Store, Steam Store, Epic Store, GOG Store. Like basically, you have different variety. You can buy games from different stores at different prices. You have more variety, more exclusives. I mean, you'd be able to buy PlayStation games on Xbox if you did that. Like you go from the Steam store and buy God of War and Spider-Man on there. Like it's essentially a PC that's like simpler. It's a PC that's simpler than a PC, but or a console that's slightly more complicated than a console, but has more utility, more use for it. I think it's a good thing. Honestly, I think it'd be really good, and it'll differentiate itself from the competition. It would give you a reason to buy one over a PlayStation for sure. The amount of options you get from it, it's like a lot more versatile device. It feels like the PlayStation is a lot more limited and a lot more closed. Like it's a walled garden, whereas Xbox would be not a walled garden at all. It'd be completely open. And I think it'd be a really good thing to have these things on there. I think it'd be good. What do you think?
I think with the different storefronts, it varies. Like Epic Games, I know that Epic Games is like popular for Fortnite, but they have been running the store where they put other games on it, and they've been friendly enough to like allow people to log into their Epic accounts when playing their games on the Xbox console. Um, but then the only thing is, it's just like, how are they going to be able to play this if they're going to allow storefronts? Like, are they having different apps which they let them to download into their system that's associated with their Xbox account? Or does it like work like you link your accounts over to Xbox account so that if it matches with any of the games you bought on like Steam on Epic, you can download them for the Xbox store? So I think it just leads to questions like how are they going to be able to implement multiple storefronts when it's quite likely that, as people may like to point out in the comments, that you could end up sideloading these games into the Xbox, but it just makes you
Yeah,
assume like could this actually be working with the Xbox architecture? Because we're dealing with potentially PC versions, and you've got to have to make sure that it works for the Xbox. So I think it just leads to some questions and implications on like how they'll be best approached with it. Because I know like iPhone, you have side-loaded apps. Sometimes you do web
Yeah.
apps, so you need to put the Safari shortcut on the iPhone screen. But now with side-loaded apps, it seems like you run those apps that will work on the iPhone. But I think it just leads to a lot of questions like how Xbox is likely to pull off the multiple storefronts kind of thing.
Well, with me personally, the way I see it is that the new. I mean, this is just like speculation here, so don't take it as like gospel. But I think the next Xbox, like the Xbox, we'll just call it the Xbox 7 for now, just because, just so don't have to keep coming up with names. Let's just say the Xbox 7 is Windows based. It has Windows operating system. It is essentially a Windows computer that you use a controller to go through the menus, and then the default would be the Xbox, and then you can go to the Windows menu and download different app stores or whatever, and just use it like a computer. That's what I think it will be, essentially just a PC that you plug into your TV. Also, I feel like Xbox is essentially the Xbox app online. I think if the rumors like next gen console is going to be a handheld or whatever, or they want to move into more like you can play your games on your phone or you can play your games on anything, I feel like they're going to have like a big picture mode. Like Steam has big picture. I think they'll have their own version of that, and that will pretty much be the Xbox user face, the interface. I think so. Essentially, it'll have like its own UI you can load into that's like for consoles, but then you can boot out of it and go into another store and use it as a PC to access other stores. That's what I think is going to happen personally. A bit like my ROG Ally, like kind
Yeah, I
of
was
what
going
the
to
ROG
mention
Ally
that.
does.
Yeah, because you give me like a bit of a tour of that thing. That it gives you a library that lets you play any games with it, but also gives you the Windows mode where you can install any application in. And yeah, I
Yeah,
think it just kind of aligns what you say. But I think it's just interesting, like turning Xbox into some kind of a glorified Windows machine that you let play games into it. I think this will actually like make it most convenient for people to even sideload games into their system. But then
yeah.
I think it just kind of like turns it into an Oya that once you have it, don't worry about the storefront. You could just put WOMs into it and run emulators on it. Cool.
I mean that's true, but then you could do that on PCs anyway. So
Hmm.
I have like you can emulate games on your PC anyway, but people still some people like the convenience of Game Pass, or some people like the convenience of buying stuff. I mean, like Steam sales are still very high, even though you can pirate stuff on PC. I think, yeah, some people will pirate stuff, but people will pirate stuff anyway. So I think the fact that it's essentially Xbox. I feel like Xbox are becoming more like Steam, and I think that's what they'll basically become. They'll just become a storefront themselves, and then they'll supply a box that has their storefront as a default on it, a bit like a Steam Deck. That's what I think it's going to be like. I think the new Xbox is going to be like big picture mode on Steam. Personally, I think that's what they're going for. Maybe I'm wrong, but that would be my guess. Like if you had an Xbox handheld, it'd be the default setup would be an Xbox setup, and vice versa. Like probably be the new Xbox would probably be like the same menu you have now, and then it'll be like hit the home button, and it'll change it to a Windows computer, like or like whatever. But they may have a new button on there, like a Windows button on there that just pushes you straight to the desktop, which is I think would be the option to do it, or like switch between them. That's personally how I think they're going to do it, but who knows? It's all theoretical. I might be completely wrong. They might just be like make a really bad version of it that doesn't work, which wouldn't surprise me.
Well, actually, I think you said like a Game Pass, and to be honest, this is really good. To be honest, I think Microsoft should actually allow the Game Pass to come to like Steam and Epic Games as well as Microsoft apps. Because I know you can already play them on there, but I think the trouble is that there's a lot more complaints about the Windows. Because with Game Pass, you had to use
Yeah.
Windows programming to install games, and people are having issues with it. which is why they
Yes.
prefer to get on Steam. So, and there's even an article saying why you should play Power World on Steam instead of the Xbox Game Pass, and it just seems to pick out all of the good reasons there. And it's just like the versions of the games are not the same between Steam and Xbox. There seems to be
No.
some confusion that Steam and Xbox are missing features. This isn't true. Some features might be slightly different or have different value, but the other issues like missing exit game button are not a result of the older build. These are separate issues. And it
Well,
just,
for me,
yeah.
no, go on. I was just gonna say, for me personally, I do find it easier just to play games on my Xbox than to download them onto my ROG Ally. I do feel like there's extra steps to it, which is why I prefer. If I'm going to play a game, I'll play it on Xbox. But if I want to play, like, I'll download it secondary on my ROG Ally if I want to play it on the move or whatever. I think that's the issue that I've been saying that they need to fix. I think they need to fix the storefront on PC for sure. They need to make it better than what it is. I think, as I said, if they made it basically the Xbox, what we have on Xbox now on PC, just essentially what we have now is Xbox Big Picture on PC. That's what we want. That storefront, that software, put that on a PC, and then you're golden. I think it's perfect. It's perfectly designed for consoles. And the games are optimized for it. I don't like. That's what I would do. But then I don't run Xbox. I'm just a guy who talks crap on the internet.
Well, I think if you consider the people who have Steam Deck, they currently cannot play Game Pass unless they do one of two things: replace the Steam OS with Windows, or they run Game Pass games on the browser. So,
yeah,
if
need
Microsoft
to
were
work
to
on
bring
that.
the Game Pass to Steam, that would solve a lot of problems with Steam Deck users. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to get Game Pass when they can just buy games on Steam, which leads to the few reports suggesting that Steam should bring their own Game Pass equivalent, and now that will be a big problem.
Yeah. Well, but then with the ROG Ally, I can get Steam on the ROG Ally, and it essentially is the same experience you get on a Steam Deck because it's the big picture mode. That's what big picture mode is. It's essentially the software layout for a controller. So you can still get there is ways around it. They just need to work on it. They need to fix it.
Mm.
I think if Xbox gets on Steam Deck and Steam gets on Xbox, I think both companies win. And I think that'll be good for both companies. I think that'll be great. And it'd be great for consumers as well. And then PlayStation would be like, ah, shit, what are we going to do? No!
I think the real no moment will be just like bringing PlayStation storefront over to Xbox, but then
That'd be
wouldn't it be
hilarious.
better to you bring this storefront over to Xbox so that people can spend on PlayStation games and give Sony money? I mean,
Exactly. That's
big
what Xbox
brain.
is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Xbox have always been known as a software company. It does feel they're moving more and more back into software. They're not really focusing on consoles anymore. They're more focused on Game Pass and software for PC. And then like the rumor, as I said, what Phil Spencer was talking about was having like a big picture mode on like consoles and stuff. It does feel like they're more concentrated, like mobile. They're trying to focus on getting more software onto these devices and essentially turning Xbox into an app. Essentially into like the Netflix of gaming, literally, which I think would be rad, and I'd be totally down for it. Team Xbox, yeah, PlayStation.
However, there's other bits of news that we're gonna say we're gonna have this as a topic of the week, but I think there's a lot being talked about that apparently it would appear as if Phil Spencer kind of suggests. Well, actually, oh no, wait a minute. Oh, hang a minute.
Eric
No,
Bond,
it's just
I think it was.
I think it's just a small report, but apparently, according to this article on Pure Xbox, Microsoft or whether it's Bond or some sort, there's a quote that comes from a report by Windows Central. And it turns out that we're moving full speed ahead on the next generation hardware, focusing on delivering the biggest technological leap ever in a generation. Oh, actually, this article points out to the Xbox podcast thing, only it's been regurgitated about a week ago. So,
Yes.
so, s
I mean, the rumor is at the moment that I think I mentioned this in the last podcast we talked about that the Xbox essentially we're not going to get an Xbox Pro. There's PS5 Pros coming out this year or next year, and it doesn't look like we're going to get an Xbox Pro. We're going to get the next generation of Xbox like 2 years earlier than. So essentially, they want to beat the PS6 out by like a year or so, like they did with the 360, which makes sense because the 360 is the most successful generation for Xbox. If they have a next gen console 2 years before PlayStation, they do have some kind of advantage and they can build some kind of fan base up that way. I think that's smart. I mean, that was the rumor, and then also the rumor is that if the next console might be they might have a home console like the Series X and have a portable console like the Switch. So there'd be like a kind of like a Switch and a home console, which would be sick as hell. Yeah, it's still all rumors at the moment though, but it's exciting stuff. I honestly, I don't feel like this generation's barely started yet, but I'm quite ready to jump into a new console if they're ready to do it. Give me another year and I'll be there for you. Don't know about
well,
you.
the one thing that we somehow like, we discussed about it before, but the one thing we definitely are excited to go for the next generation is for Xbox to come up with uh, I think it was a different kind of Xbox where it either
Yeah,
is a new Steam Deck alternative or the Nintendo Switch
yeah,
alternative, where you will either have it as a handheld with the Windows functionality, or you have it as a Switch competitor where it operates like an Xbox, except you have a dock to plug it in as standard.
yeah. I mean,
And
I'm totally down for that. That sounds rad. I
yeah,
love my.
I just feel this is probably likely to be a way forward because my feeling is just that Xbox as it is, they're not going to win against PlayStation. They got to innovate in order to survive, and they've already given their games over to other competitors. Like for example, like Grounded and Pentiment are
Hi-Fi
already like
Rush.
on PlayStation, and Hi-Fi Rush has gotten so popular on PlayStation 5 and is becoming like one of the best games, which would explain there's more video views on Hi-Fi Rush videos on our channel than
Yes.
before. So it does seem as if like Hi-Fi Rush has gotten more popular once it gets over to PlayStation 5.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing. I think that's kind of what I was saying earlier as well. Is that with the Steam and Epic stores coming to Xbox, that differentiates it from PlayStation. They, c- I feel like for generations now, PlayStation and Xbox have been fighting each other, and PlayStation has always got the knockout blow. They've always been winning these generations. They need to fight a different style now. They need to go in a different. They need to go in a different direction. Like Nintendo basically felt that they couldn't compete with Xbox and PlayStation in the power department. So they go, well, let's do motion controls or let's do the Switch hybrid and all that. And that's worked amazing for them. They took a different track. They're like a different console altogether. And that's what I feel like Xbox needs to do. I think the high end power console, PlayStation's currently got that on a lock. You could make an even more powerful console, but then that might bankrupt you. I don't know. But I think this high idea of having a console that is Game Pass, that has Steam, that has Epic on it, and that also is portable, and like essentially it does everything. It's the Swiss Army knife for games consoles. It's a Switch and it's a PlayStation and it's a PC. I mean, that's a winner. I think that's that's a console that sells personally. And then Xbox is such a big third party developer now that it doesn't lose money because it's still selling games on Switch, PC, and PlayStation as well. So I, I think it's a win. I think that's the winning formula for them. I think, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. They can't win
Well,
in a direct fight anymore. It seems like that's obvious now. Unfortunately,
well, um, it's funny that I mentioned Grounded because Grounded just came out this week on the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 5, which means the game that we got so into it like 2 years ago,
love
you
it.
can now play it on other consoles. So do you think you can like get it on PlayStation 5?
No. Why would I go? I got it on Game Pass. I got the best version, the Xbox version, and I love it. It's such a good game. But if you don't own an Xbox and for some reason you listen to an Xbox podcast, get Grounded. It's a good game. I think it's good if you don't have an Xbox, get it. But if you have an Xbox, just get Game Pass. I don't understand why you wouldn't. I love Grounded though. It's such a good game. Oh my god. Maybe I'll get it on Switch though, portable Grounded. But then I got a wrong ally, so I can play that portable anyway. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm rambling.
Yeah.
I think I think also with Xbox as well, next generation. If we do have a next generation console, they have so many studios and so many games in development that they will be able to compete a bit more one to one with PlayStation when it comes to the consoles. I think we said that about this generation, and it hasn't quite come into fruition yet. There's been a couple of years where there's been nothing, but this year we got like 10 games coming out for Xbox, as we've discussed in previous episodes, and then there's more games planned for next year, and there's more games planned for the year after that. And it does feel like they have a good cadence of games now, Xbox, which is something they've not had for a very long time. So I'm hoping that's going to help with sales as well, and help people get more people to come in all these brand new games. And I just hope they don't put them all on PlayStation day one. It's like, go away, PlayStation. Let's have our games for a year or 2 years, and then you can have them. But just don't.
Yeah.
Let's have some exclusives, for God's sake. Thank you for listening to the X Marks the Box podcast. Follow us at X Marks Box on Twitter or X Marks the Box on YouTube, and follow us on all audio podcast services. Thanks for listening.